everyone, and very warm welcome to you guys. I'm Anthony Muganya, your host of the Unshackled podcast of Perspective with me. So, in this video, I am going to react really to a little bit of a civil war happening on the left. Many of you would know TV personality Ana Kasparian from the Young Turks, who has been with the network for a very long time and who co-hosts a show with Cenk Uygur on the TYT network. And although Anna and myself probably do not believe at all the same thing politically, but I have to say that it is very disgusting what has been happening to her since what she has self-described as awakening, right? So we're going to read news as well as just like a video where she does talk about her, so her political, well, should I say awakening? I don't know. You guys will tell me in the comment section. So where she does discuss a little bit of the shift that she's going through in terms of the left and what. And I have to say, I tend to agree with her, right? I'm a conservative, obviously, and I think at some point liberal policies, it's cool when you're young to make stupid comments, because you tend to be idealist and you think the world works in a certain way, where really it doesn't. And so I think this is what is happening currently with Ana Kasparian. And there has been just a left-wing shift in that direction. So I wanted to discuss that and respond to it. And without further ado, let's get into this.
Young Turks' Ana Kasparian is catching heat for saying she has left the left.
I'm going through something very real and very sincere, and it's uncomfortable, and it has not been an enjoyable process for me. It's been difficult. And so the internet being what it is, all sorts of people from all sorts of political ideologies have theories on like what's actually happening with me, right? And the main accusation, both from the left and the right, is that I'm grifting, which is hilarious because literally nothing has changed about my work life. I'm in the same place. I have the same audience. The audience doesn't like some of what I have to say or some of the new conclusions I've come to. And so I wanted to kind of set the record straight about what I have personally experienced. I don't know what my political labels are at this point, right? Because I feel like I don't really fit anywhere. And that's just full honesty. It's, again, very uncomfortable for me. And I want to say that out of any point in my adult life, this is probably the point where I'm the most malleable and open to new.
This comes after a transgender producer employed by the Young Turks posted a video sharing that they are leaving the network over what they say is Kasparian and co-host Cenk Uygur's complicity in anti-LGBTQ sentiment.
Friend of the show, Elayami Olerin, weighed in on the drama. She actually popped in on a live stream of a...
So there you have it, guys. Really interesting development. So what do I think about this thing? So on a serious note, I believe that Ana Kasparian you heard her describing them, and the reason why she doesn't know quite where to put herself is ultimately she realizes that there's a lot of things now that the left espouses that are just not normal, right? So I've heard her talking to Ben Shapiro, where he's basically describing, or she's basically describing why she has shifted on issues like crime. So, for example, many of you may not know, but Ana Kasparian was sexually assaulted. I believe it was last year by a guy who came in behind her in Los Angeles, where she lives, and just ground himself on her or something ridiculous and completely disgusting like that. Um, but and a lot of the people on the left were like, well, you shouldn't be talking about that. Maybe this guy was mentally ill and you are stigmatizing them and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here was a woman telling the story about what happened to her, being assaulted on her walk, sexually assaulted. And all that our friends on the left were saying was, well, don't stigmatize the attacker, the perpetrators. Those ones, you are not allowed to stigmatize them. So that is what is wrong. And I think that reaction was big. And then there was also, she's also coming to the realization as a woman who shall we say, who is white passing, she's started to understand more a little bit. Remember, a few weeks ago, there was this whole story with the city bike Karen and the fact that this whole dispute that was caught on tape where she wanted an electric bike, and there was this kid who didn't want to give the bike up, although he wasn't really using it, and it was technically against the rules for him to just hold on to the bike without actually paying for it. And then there was a whole saga with Ana Kasparian's colleague, Dr. Ricci, his name is Prashad Ricci, who went online and immediately accused this nurse, this nurse who had just finished a 12-hour shift. She accused accused her of stealing this man's bike. Okay, so then she came up with a receipt, and then it went back and forth, a lot of stories. And then the sister of the boy came out also and was like, well, he had the bike. Although, as many of you remember, at 7:24, he didn't have the bike anymore. So technically it wasn't his. Okay? But suddenly that part doesn't matter. So this is this was the case. This is what was happening at the time. Okay, so Ana Kasparian responded to her own colleague and said, well, perhaps, essentially that's what she said, perhaps we should wait. Instead of ascribing bad intention to people, we should just wait for all the information to come out as they came out, and then we'll be able to make an informed decision or opine, whichever way people want to. But apparently that was too much. It was too much for her leftist colleague, who went on a rampage accusing her of racism and all sort of things. Basically, if a leftist is telling you that, it's a meaningless word anyways. They've made so many words completely meaningless. There's no point really at this stage. So so that was the case. So she's responding to that. So you have to remember that so that is the backdrop. The other thing that I think she changed on is on the issue of climate change, and specifically what the left keeps referring to as the impact of carbon emission due to fossil fuel in the industry. So she has also changed her position on that because she has read up more and realized that her positions as a leftist on these issues were also untenable. So on those three things I explained, so the crime the issue of climate change, um, as well as just what she believes to be like a hatred for basically white people, because that is really what is happening, and we can see that really in the news and everywhere. And her as a woman who appears really to be white, I think she's starting to wonder what the heck is happening. But this is the left for you guys, you know. They end up eating their own, really, because yeah. Um. So so as you heard there, sorry. So she is reacting to that, and people are just going crazy. They don't believe that this woman has the right to form her own opinion, and now people are accusing her of grifting them, and some really ridiculous statements that have come out. So let's read a little bit more here. So the awakening of Ana Kasparian. So what happens when leftism meets reality? Ana Kasparian, co-host of the left-wing show The Young Turks, recently found out Kasparian railed against the financial hardship of retrofitting her California condo to allow for electric vehicle charging. Governor Gavin Newsom, who's committed to driving California straight into the ground, signed an executive order mandating an end to gas car sales by 2035. Now, I have a lot to say about that because these people are crazy. Now, you may want how can I say that we are all concerned with the environment, but you can't legislate progress or technological progress. It's not like you sit here and with a stroke of a pen you just said, well, I'm going to do it in 2035, because there are big issues. Number one, and I will continue, but number one, for example, is relates to the energy grid. Okay, there has to be a mix. Because we know that solar and wind are not permanent. So while we are working on finding new sources of energy that can be permanent and made cheaper, I don't see how this deadline of 2035 is realistic in any ways. But sadly, he's just doing it for to virtue signal, but he knows very well that it is completely unattainable, and there's nothing sadly we can do about that. So, a distressed Kasparian described the massive explicit loan. I can't say the word. Her building must take out to install the stations. I want to do something in response to climate change. That is not my issue. My issue is that we are forced to make all these changes that are a financial burden, a giant inconvenience with little to no help, she says, and launches into a rant about how the government should just give me the money instead of offering tax credit for things like charging stations. Well, yes, all of us want to do something as long as we don't actually have to do anything. Her plea for the government to just pay for it it is further proof that leftists don't understand how anything works. The government paying for it, you may say, well, you paying for it. There isn't a magical money tree the government plucks from for its pet project. The government doesn't have a side hustle or a part-time job where it makes a little extra cash for splurging on bad leftist idea, and all the money comes from us. True. This is true, right? So these people don't understand anything. These people don't understand anything. We have to be clear about that. So they're cool with it. it's a little bit like I think a few months ago with the migrants that were flown, I believe, to Martha's Vineyard, and automatically these people who claim they're all tolerant and open, they were like, no, these guys, we don't want them. Even Obama didn't open his house, his $12 million property that is on the island. Mr. Obama did not open that property to welcome the migrants. Why? They all have money. His donors and friends in the area, they all have money, but they ship them under the cover of night very quickly. Like, no, we don't want you on our island so that you can bring down the cost of our properties. They got rid of them very quickly. They didn't even spend the night over there. So, this is why I said those people are frauds, to be just very clear. But it is essentially because these people don't want to live with the consequences of the choices. And that is the problem that I have with that. They don't want to live with the consequences of their choices. And they do not realize that the government doesn't have a secret stash of money somewhere. No, we, taxpayers, fund these stupid operations that they go on with, and it's our money. It's not the government's money. And the government has a vested interest in spending money to reward the donors. So I think now she's coming to the realization that perhaps this is not a good thing, and that is ultimately going to cost her, as a taxpayer, a lot of money. So obviously she's not very happy. She's not very happy about that. But yeah, so I just hope that eventually she will come to her senses, indeed, and leave the left. I think that would be a momentous historical day when that happens. There's always hope. So that is it for this video. So once again, if you like my channel, please don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this video, comment, share this video, and like this video as much as you want, and I will then be back with more news soon. Until then, peace.